You know, not many people can be called a legend, especially in their own lifetime.
One of the unquestioned exemptions is a megastar known by fans as the Man in Black, all the world knows as Johnny Cash.
We drove to Nashville to discover the ups and downs of the Johnny Cash Museum. Really, the only down was not being able to video.
We did get some great pictures and information on both Johnny and June. We'll be sharing a lot of in this video, so yeah. As well as how Johnny was an integral part of the Storytellers Museum in Bon Aqua, Tennessee, about a mile from his farm. The 107-acre farm Johnny called the center of his universe. He didn't know he owned.
If that last statement made you wonder, how did that happen? Stick around. That amazing story and more are coming up.
On the way to Johnny Cash's Bon Aqua farm is the Storytellers Museum. It started as a general store in the 1800s, turning into a recording studio in the 1960s, eventually falling into ruin until asking Johnny to help renovate the building into the museum and venue it is today, complete with a bandstand for live shows. This is awesome. We're in Bon Aqua at the Storytellers Inn. So much Johnny Cash stuff here. Look at this. There it is. The one piece at a time car. And for those of you who may not remember the song, it was about a disgruntled worker at Cadillac who wanted one but couldn't afford one. So he found a way to take pieces home one at a time and build his own.
We were talking about the story about one get destroyed and then another one got built. And then you were telling me the actual story of this one.
Yeah, this one, Mr. Patch had his employees build it for Johnny Cash, and he delivered it to Johnny, and Johnny wasn't expecting it, I don't believe. But anyway, Mr. Patch came about 4 or 5 years ago, now that I think about it, to see where the car ended up. And not Mr. Patch, but one of his workers that was the main guy that worked on the car. And he wanted to see where it was. And since then, he's passed away. But he told us the story of how it came to be. And Mr. Patch gifted it to Johnny, and it was in Johnny's museum in Hendersonville, House of Cash, for over 20 years.
There's hidden gems among all this stuff.
Oh, look at this, rockabilly legends.
Yeah, it's not all Johnny Cash. I mean, it's a lot of different people.
Well, Johnny hung out with some really cool people.
He did.
Yeah, some very close friends indeed. This is the man who actually bought the building and turned it into a recording studio. Wilbur or W.C. Red Wortham.
Okay.
We're going to learn some Johnny stuff.
Of decay and neglect, a small stage.
Some things that were on this gun belt was in a picture on one of his album covers. There's one picture from it, and harmonica in his. And this shirt, this was part of a shirt of his. So you can see the gun belt around his neck too. So.
Okay, we're going to cut this tour short because we thought we'd only see Johnny Cash's ranch today. We had no idea we would wind up here, and the history of the Storytellers Museum is really a video in itself. If you'd like to see and hear the complete story of this awesome place, like what's upstairs, let us know in the comments.
Okay, so we are following Sally, who lives in this house on the second floor, her and her husband, up to the Bon Aqua home of Johnny Cash. He lived here actually for 30 years. Wow.
And they do Harvest Host here too.
Interesting. Now if we just get a van, we can come here and stay overnight in our van they will be our harvest host. I like it.
That's Johnny's garage.
This is a two-man jail cell. Usually we play Folsom Prison blues music out of it.
That makes sense.
And but it's like from the early 1900s. Our friend with the museum up north had this also, so
Wow.
It's just a photo op. 47. And so this was standing during the Civil War, so there's a little Civil War history as well. And there's a few Civil War graves back in the cemetery back there. Captain Weems is buried back there. And so this several generations of Weems lived in this cabin here.
Oh, wow.
The way you probably heard how Johnny got it. His bookkeeper was swindling his money buying properties in his own name.
And we heard about that.
And this was one of them. I don't know how many total. I've heard 4 and I've heard 7. So when Johnny found out, he retrieved all the properties and went around to see what he had. And the caretaker told us when he came to this one, he went upstairs, jumped a couple times, came down and said, "This one's not for sale." And so he kept it until he passed. In 2003, his son John Carter inherited it.
So this is a 1930s or 40s edition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the floor.
It's kind
Yeah.
of,
Now that we put the concrete floor in because it had plywood floors with the indoor outdoor. Remember the old green indoor outdoor?
Yes.
And there was it was kind of spongy, the floor, so to make it wheelchair friendly.
That's great.
And because it was all different levels.
Yeah.
Now Johnny added the library. There was a shed in there in that space, and he had the library added in the 90s because he was an avid reader.
I see some initials scratched up here. Is this stuff Johnny did or somebody else?
People have people have added those. We started out with a big old antique door here that we let people sign, and then it got, it was covered. So then they started spreading off to different areas. Wow. He's had a fireplace.
You need yours?
Mine's low.
So there's a mixture of some furniture from their home in Hendersonville, like those blue chairs. Some of the fancier things were from that house. This was Johnny's recliner here at the farm, and you can see it was well loved.
It was well known.
Wow. Well,
And it's kind of low for he was a big guy. He was 6'3", we've been told. So it's kind of low.
that's its weight now.
Yeah.
Man, that size. This is Johnny's office chair.
Yeah,
That's
Johnny,
Nice
they are
stitching.
cash. These are the chairs that Waylon and Johnny had a sobriety party for Waylon, and this is a chair he's sitting on.
Yeah.
We've had this picture for 8 years. When we came here, it was just on a stack of stuff. And I thought, whose painting is it? Never could understand it, but we kept it, and I had 50 chances I would have probably sold it for $50. I mean, you know what I mean? Because what did I know? Then I got this painting, not a picture, photo of Johnny Cash in 1969 when he first moved into his home in Hendersonville.
And I see
Only painting on the wall was this.
Oh my God.
And all of a sudden I go, where's that painting? And we put it up. But there it is. It's Johnny. You see how young he was? And it was probably the first painting he ever put on the wall. And June probably hated it, and so they brought it out here.
And almost wound up in a garage sale. Okay, we got to get to bullet hole story.
Well, Sandy Cash said that she had just learned how to shoot a gun, and she and her dad had come inside, and they were sitting in here. And Johnny said, "You want to practice?" She said, "It's kind of dark outside." And he proceeded to shoot a hole in the ceiling and said, "See how close you can get to my bullet." Then he said, "Let's see who can get a straight line." So they shot about 5 times. Cindy said she won. He said he was a good teacher.
So when you all bought it, was all this stuff here, or have you
No,
collected
we've
it
acquired.
over the
Well,
years?
a few of the items that Johnny had here were here, like this, the
Okay.
mirror. I've seen pictures or heard that at some point he had a big old bear rug in here, and we saw Waylon on the front porch with it, and we've seen a picture of that. This was Carl Perkins' guitar when he played at San Quentin and Folsom Prison. In fact, this whole book is a photography book of those 2 concerts.
Wow,
And,
that's a huge book.
Yeah, I think this came out fairly recently. Jim Marshall was the photographer for this, but you can see him with that guitar.
Wow. And that is a heavy looking guitar too.
Yeah, it's actually thinner than it looks, though. It's not a real deep one. Here he is holding it here as well.
Okay. To know that your buds are Elvis and Carl Perkins and Jerry Lee Lewis is just awesome.
Oh,
I think. Wow. Of course,
Yeah,
I
for them
remember
to have
this
those
album when
good
I was a
friends.
kid.
yeah, right. That
That
one.
was the big one.
And then, of course, Johnny and Billy Graham were very close friends, and they sang at a number of Billy Graham's crusades. It's
Are you
pretty
telling me
famous.
that's Blue Suede Shoes in Carl Perkins' handwriting?
Yes, but it's
Wow.
very hard to see on
It
this. But
is.
it's obviously a print or a copy of the actual
On a garbage bag.
paper bag or
Paper bag.
Yeah, brown paper bag.
It's like you said, I think the word of the day is wow.
Wow, I think I've said a lot. We should be counting our wows in this video.
Wow, dink, dink, dink.
Yeah.
It was Ray Charles' photo album, but there's a picture of him and Johnny and all the different people that the songs were.
Wow, that is awesome. Again, another wow.
Yeah, Johnny was friends. They would have the guitar pulls at their house a lot with their friends.
This guitar?
A fly on the
This was
wall.
just, yeah, it's not particularly a special one. It just had, it's got Merle Haggard, Chris Christopherson, and I can't remember if this is Willie Nelson or
Kind of looks like Willie. Now the kitchen?
Go ahead, I'm gonna be behind you.
yeah, you can see a picture of him in the kitchen having cake, it looks like. He had a sweet tooth. But I think both he and Waylon they were both diabetic, so. But this is a pond the caretaker said one time he came up to the farm and Johnny had dragged his couch out to the pond and was sitting in it fishing.
That's a view. Wow. Again.
Yeah, and so he used to stock the pond, and we just, a couple years ago, stocked it as well.
Wow.
So these are the original cabinets and.
So all the
They are
appliances?
original.
Yeah, appliances are all new, but
Yeah.
the cabinets are all original.
Wow.
You can see at one point there would have been a wood burning stove probably there. And there was always a door that went out to the cellar access was right back there too, so.
This is amazing, especially this view of this pond. His bedroom?
Yeah, he didn't have he didn't have a fancy headboard or anything from what we've heard. He just had a big old bed that took up half the room. But this was his dresser, and all the Reader's Digests were left here. This lamp was left here. The little diorama of, it's like a Valentine's card that Kathy made for her dad with all her sister's pictures, schoolgirl pictures on it.
That's cute. I took some thought to do that.
Yeah.
And of course, this is a book from
Yeah, this
Vivian.
is Vivian got permission from Johnny to do a book, and he said if anybody should do it, you're welcome to do it. And this is a compilation of the letters between them when he was in the service, and then some of her story in her life.
This is just a basic little room, basic
yeah,
bed.
it is. And basic bathroom.
Yeah.
We had to change the toilet because it was
Go ahead.
leaking, but the sink and the shelves are original. There's a tub behind it.
It's just amazing. I picture Johnny in such a huge home. And this is really, I guess, what I call quaint.
Yeah, it is.
It's very cabin-like.
And I
That-
think he liked the simplicity of that. And he probably spent a lot of his time outside when he was here.
I don't know whose books those are, but I think those are hers. Oh,
This is
it
going out
no?
to the front door.
it's around anywhere.
Here we go. This is the
Original
view
cabin
going out
house
the front
from here.
door.
And that 1976 Johnny Cash Christmas show, Johnny, June, and Tony Orlando were standing right out here. That's the tree that had the yellow ribbon on it that is piece by piece falling off now. And the woodpecker's taken over it. But
Wow.
in the last storm we had, a big chunk came off of the other side. So I don't know how much longer that's going to be able to be there. But it's kind of like a nice little monument. We've had some bluegrass festivals, we've had gospel festivals, we've had you know, Crystal Gale has been out here, John Schneider's been out here, T. Graham Brown. And for the most part, though, we've done songwriters rounds. So local people that have written songs and want a chance to sing it for their friends and neighbors. So we try to encourage it.
So this is actual stained glass.
Yeah, it came out of a church in St. Louis. But you can see it matches the other two that we have down at the...
Oh, okay. Church out of a church in St. Louis.
Yeah. So this
That is amazing stuff.
Baptism of Christ.
You have so much information about the man that we don't know much about, so thank you for that.
We will take hours and probably days processing everything that you told us today. It's like,
Yeah.
you're going to have to help me with this one.
Yes, really, yeah. So thank you again.
We're going on our fourth year.
A fort, that's right.
Oh, I know, it's amazing how...
Yeah. You know, I knew that Johnny Cash was a man of faith, and I think throughout this time that we've had here with Sally and her husband, you just realize so much more about who the man was. The video that you all didn't get to see, but at the Storytellers Museum, he was giving a kind of a thank you by one of the other singers, and he starts crying, and then to just see the emotion he has about so many things, to see within this house the Bible, to hear about the songs that he wrote, all in his faith, and it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. This place feels, I don't know, it just feels like God is here. It's just a quiet, beautiful, it's about 70 today. We haven't had a day like this in a really long time.
Look what we found. See that bus on the left? Johnny Cash had a brother they called Tommy Cash. He had a couple of hit songs. That is his bus. And this is totally awesome. Wow. Love to put that back together.
252 wows.
So what do you think?
It was probably one of the nicest things that we've done. I don't know. I was
Sally
saying,
was just a wealth of entertainment.
she was so much information. Just to know 2 missionaries in Japan and Hong Kong. Didn't find out about this place until 2015. Came here, was able to buy it. I mean, the story is just too big to tell. It's just been one of those most incredible days ever.
If you like these kind of videos, make sure you give us a thumbs up so we know this is the kind of content you want to see, because we love doing this, really.
We'll be back.